Oh no. Oh, good. It's like, are we on the dark side of the moon right now? It's gonna be pitch black. Speaking of. Yeah, also, is the naked moon man able to just walk around in... Oh. Whoa, that's pretty awesome. I love the pitch black just beyond every horizon. I think the moon should technically be smaller? Maybe not. I've never been to the moon, I can't say. Can we just wander off? Watch out for moon men. Do we have some kind of oxygen recirculator or like an air tank or... Oh, we're not going on a moon adventure. We're just going from one hellhole to another. One cursed moon laboratory. This one will have some other horrible creature inside of it. Nope. Oh, I thought we were gonna pass out again. The screen was getting bright. You need a security clearance to close the door? More horrible music. Maybe they're gendered laboratories. Maybe this is the invisible ladies' side. You know, you really don't have that much water to waste on a lunar base like this. I don't know how rain is just... Oh, it's like leaking out of pipes, gotcha. Is that more invisible man poop? Oh, I have no tasks. Okay, it's the next day. I'm picking up where we left off here. We had just entered Botany, if I recall. And I think we're looking for the level 3 key card, or security clearance, because there was quite a bit that we'd left unopened in the last part of the base here. Security level 1, we can open this. Ooh. Time frame. 1 to 61 days. Headaches. Sinus pressure, ice pick headaches, tinnitus, fullness in ears. Eye strain, photophobia, blurry vision, floaters, some instances of subconjunctival hemorrhage. Insomnia, trouble sleeping, sleep paralysis, disturbances during hypnagogic or hypnopompic. I've heard of hypnagogic, I've not heard of hypnopompic states. High cortisol levels. Cognitive decline, visual manifestations, visual and auditory hallucinations, confusion, brain fog, dissociative memory loss. Breathing difficulties, cough, low-grade asthma, lower blood oxygen levels, dehydration, gaunt appearance, unable to intake nutrients by mouth, constricted veins, difficult to detect for needle insertion, deep amber-colored urine. Death! Death is not even the end. Death, cardiac arrest after succumbing to symptoms, and then fruiting bodies. Development of a fungal growth on the back of tongue observed during algor mortis, positive cryptococcal test. But they're becoming mushroom farms. Battery, we're good. Very noisy mushrooms. Alright, we've got 3 branching paths. Laboratory 1. Security level 1. We got that. Is this more poop? Damn it, he's over here too. How did he get in here? Like, he's just... I could buy that he, like, walked across the moon, because they're... presumably, they originated here. We found them here. Somehow. But, all these doors are behind security locks. 1978, somebody's got a tumor or a void in their brain.
We came so far. Further than anyone would have expected.
That's very dramatic.
This place is proof of our will, our perseverance, our vision. Soon the canal will speak.
See these symbols all over the base. They're on the doors, on random spots on the walls. I think the door to the path outside of imaging had like 19 of these things on it. I wonder if that's gonna be tied to a puzzle or something. Not really? I should be checking more things with this. Anyway. Time to read. Decontamination malfunction from Paul Vargas. Hi Ken, the automated sensor in decontamination is malfunctioning. It can identify contaminants, but it can't communicate the chemical formula necessary to sanitize. Until I can get it fixed, we can work around it by manually entering the chemical formula. I'll put up a sign to inform the rest of the crew to use the main control lab. Oh, that use the main control lab. Okay, so we're gonna have to find a chemical formula here. No doubt. Do you want to crawl in here already? This is where all the poop leads, isn't it? Is that me? Were those noise me? I'm a very grunty astronaut, cosmonaut. Now that I think about it, I think that the invisible Buttman would be way too large to fit into here. Here, though. Can you stand up? Oh, we can't stand up. Why is it like this? Huh. Very interesting, having the bars over the grate like that. Blood. Overflow is at 100% capacity. Cistern is at 100% capacity. And we have symbols again. The hall. Mess hall, cistern, overflow. Was I supposed to come here yet? I feel like maybe I should have checked out those other two side paths first. I don't know. Just roll with it. Tasks. Flooding. The overflow is flooded. However, the cistern should be accessible. I'm glad you know that. Hello? Is there a door over here? I don't think so. Well, there's something here. A moldy corpse on a table. Oh. Cafeteria. No audio logs. Papers. Oh, we need a passcode for Maria. Just make sure this is not a UV. Nope, everybody wears gloves in this part of the base. They introduced this UV mechanic and used it like twice, and then completely forgot about it. Okay, so we need to come back with Maria's password, I guess. Don't see anything else here. Oh, there's a door over here, duh. Nope, we need another password. This is access override. It's not the same way we were just in, no. That pool's empty. It's been awfully quiet. I guess we're gonna have to have a whole other build-up section first before we get thrown into the run from the monster segment. Yeah. I don't see anything to do in this part of the base yet. Okay, let's go to the right. Right wall strats. Nope, 2 doors. Chemical lab with power off. And unlabeled door. Founder's office. This should be the way we came in, right? Yeah. Main control lab. We're trapped. Nope, nope, don't like that. Unable to administer disinfectant for... Whoop. For what? I think I'm gonna have to do that again. It's probably gonna be important. We have to know what we're disinfecting for. Symbols. Come on. EL9. We've been infected. Okay, so we need to find a chemical formula that can disinfect us for EL9. How do I turn the power back on? Am I missing a note somewhere? Oh, diary notes. Woke up in the past again, missing chunks of time. I feel like I need to be somewhere. It's like waking up from a dream I can't remember. And that voice, my voice. Together. Oh, here's something. Medical evaluation. Personal information. Patient Henry Becker, lead physicist. Tether partner. Oh, Matthew again. Matthew Gerard. 51 years, lead physicist. General appearance. Poorly. Eesh, tell me like it is, doctor. Patient has a prominent cough and breathing issues. He's experiencing tightness in his chest, which he says started after a presence visited him yesterday. He also complains of ice pick headaches, floaters in vision, and sensitivity to light, which he has been experiencing for about a month. Communicated concern to Judith Weber regarding Becker's comments about a presence, and submitted a referral for examination after patient recovers from physical symptoms. Becker has been isolated and prescribed salbutamol for asthma symptoms. His primary and secondary rotations will be reassigned until further notice. Report signature, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Some lore, but no ID numbers. Oh. Where do we get Maria's ID from? 5336. This is a problem with taking day-long breaks in between episodes. So we do have Maria's ID, 5336. Is that here? No, that's access override. It was here. Maria's terminal. 5336. Progress. Email. From Maria Ivanov, Chief Physician, to William Davis, Founder. I discovered something in the arbor. It is a large animal that does not appear to be alive. I think this is what some of the others saw. You must go and see. Then we need to get it to the main control lab. Excuse me? A large animal that does not appear to be alive? All the way, thank you. I went back to the arbor to save as much of the fluids from dissection. Oh, this is William Davis. I went back to the arbor to save as much of the fluids from the dissection as possible, but I had to let most of it soak into the soil. I wish circumstances were more jovial, but I am grateful to be able to share this moment with you, Maria. This is an absolute marvel, a native being of the moon. From Maria to all. Hello, team. There's a potential illness going around. Until we know more, STIPP is in effect. Report at the first sign of any symptoms. Isolate if feeling ill. Wipe down surfaces frequently. Wear provided masks. Visit the lab for cultures to be taken. One of us doctors will always be at the main control lab, so stop by at any time. A sleeping area will be set up for you in the designated isolation zone, and your meals will be delivered from the length of your isolation period. Chem will be conducting recurring surface swabs and used air filter testing. Bio will handle pre-incinerator wastewater analysis. Engineering will be replacing all air filters with high-efficiency particulate air filters over the next 48 hours. Reach out to the medical team with any questions. So... they found a big dead animal. And then they let its fluids leak into the soil where they are presumably growing the food that they're eating. That seems like a great idea. Oop. Finding wired doors. Doors found. Opening doors. Uh-oh. You let it out. He's back. He's behind us. Damn it. How did that happen? Where would he have come from? How did he... what? How did he catch us? Go, go, go. At least he gives up easily. Where are you? Is that just a degausser screen? Okay. Diary. Sterain biomarkers detected. More details soon. I can't wait for the radiocarbon results. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep thinking about what types of ancient life could have left these biomarker assemblages in these samples, and from how long ago. As excited as I am, it doesn't feel right celebrating this without Edith. Proteinogenic amino acids. After everything, it has all been worth it. This is momentous. Life, right here, right now with us on the moon. Maybe the canal harbors a more hospitable environment for a certain organic material. After I get the next experiments logged and prepped tomorrow, I need to talk with Barbara. What I'm experiencing does not fill me with confidence. The loss of time, the hallucinations, and yet, I embrace it. I embrace the process. I hear it now. The canal is our only way to go on. Together. Jan's terminal. That's the second time we've seen a reference to that. Together. Where is this man? Oh, good. Big dark room. Nope. I don't think he likes the flower projection. Hello? Oh, there he is. Go, 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 go. Nope. Not today. He's got big old feeties. Can we tickle his feet? Whose toes are those? Oh, he's got like a little extra toe. So at what point does he become invisible? No, I need to go that way. He's still visible. So we have to... Oh. Oh. Sounds like he's pooping over there or something. What is this now? This is gonna lead to like right where he's going, isn't it? Reminder to source new sample for EL9 testing from the cistern. Oh. Okay, we have a projector here. Oh, we can save. This is a safe zone. Good. Some progress. Let's see. Contamination and flooding. It looks like the chemical laboratory contains all the information and equipment needed to compile an EL9 disinfectant. Once completed, it should automatically filter over to the main control laboratory for decontamination. EL9 solution, disinfectant compiler, main control lab decontamination, right? What? Secrets? Secrets? Nope. They got the one use out of the UV with the shape puzzle. We'll never gonna use it again for the rest of the game. Let's see. Summary table. Compounds, pH range notes. We have citric acid, parasitic acid, phenol, hydrogen peroxide, chlorhexide, copper ions. Just a handful of copper ions. EDTA, water, sodium chloride, isopropyl alcohol, ethanol, polyvinyl pyrrolidone, PVP, silver ions, and sodium bicarbonate. Okay, so we're going to be... I'm guessing by the values, the pH values here, that we're going to be trying to concoct some kind of formula or some kind of chemical that has a specific pH. Shut up, you can't come in here. This is for scientists only. That's the same paper again. Successful EL9 solution. Base. Active 1. Kurt. Oh, that's copper ion, Cu2 plus, right? Copper ion, Cu2 plus, yeah. So active 1 is copper ions. Active 2 and stabilizer, they died before they could write it down. Decontamination solution, EL9 base notes. Choosing a base for EL9. Water. Water content improves penetration into porous surfaces. Water alone doesn't work for copper or hydrogen peroxide. Isopropyl alcohol. This is a very effective base, helps dissolve cell membranes, making pathogens more vulnerable to copper and peroxide. Propylene glycol. Risk of residue. Keeps citric acid from clumping or separating. Keeps copper ions suspended and spread out evenly. Can degrade hydrogen peroxide. Ethanol, compatible with EDTA, doesn't assist copper ions and no big advantage over IPA. So we have 4 options: water, isopropyl alcohol, propylene glycol, and ethanol. How do we actually do the science? I see ethanol, isopropyl alcohol, phosgene. Oh, here we go. More notes. Potential actives for EL9. Active compounds for EL9. Copper ions. Unstable if exposed to strong acids or too much chloride. Best in mildly acidic environments. Okay, well, we know that copper ions are in there already as active 1, right? So we need an active 2, we need a base, an active 2, and a stabilizer. So we have to decide 3 things. And it looks like part of the base is still written there, maybe, right there. So what were our base options? Well, it's definitely not water or ethanol, I think, just based on the length of what was written under base. So it'd be either propylene glycol or isopropyl alcohol. Anyway, silver ions. Highly compatible. EDTA can bind silver ions too tightly. Peracetic acid would destroy copper ions too quickly. A potent oxidizer even stronger than peroxide. Phenol can reduce copper's strength. Hydrogen peroxide works well with copper ions and EDTA. Chlorhexidine provides a long-lasting solution, does not synergize well with H2O2. So we know copper ions is 1. So then is the other hydrogen peroxide. Works well with Cu2 plus and EDTA. Stabilizers. EDTA, good at... Oh, let's just read the whole thing. Stabilizers for solution EL9. Potential EL9 stabilizers. Base plus active 1, copper, question mark, active 2, and stabilizer. Oh. So then is this not... Oh, successful EL9... Okay, so they gave us 1. It says successful, so we'll go off the assumption that active 1 is correct. Citric acid can boost chlorhexidine's strength, could destroy our solution too acidic. Sodium bicarbonate could disrupt peroxide. pH levels help copper stay active. EDTA, good at cleaning up stray metals that would weaken phenol. Can weaken when in a lot of alcohol, such as ethanol, stabilizes metals and protects H2O2. Polyvinyl prolidone? Polyvinyl pyrrolidone. PvP. A good stabilizer could make the solution more viscous than we want. PvP can retain and slow down the release of silver ions. Sodium chloride can balance chlorhexidine or lose strength fast. Breaks down H2O2 and Cu2+. Can accelerate decomposition too much. Okay, so it's not chloride, sodium chloride. So is it EDTA? Because EDTA stabilizes and protects H2O2. Copper ions work best in mildly acidic environment. Oh, no, we know. Well, we have to take into consideration because it's two actives, right? So copper ions we have to consider. So we want mildly acidic, and then hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, potentially works well with Cu2+ and EDTA. So EDTA may be our stabilizer. What does EDTA say? Good at cleaning up stray metals that would weaken phenol. Can weaken when in a lot of alcohol, such as ethanol. Stabilizes metals and protects H2O2. So H2O2 and EDTA seem to synergize well together. So we just need to pick based on the constraints of EDTA, copper ions, and hydrogen peroxide, what our base is going to be. So based on copper ions, it can't be a strong acid or have too much chloride, salt. And then based on EDTA, it cannot be ethanol. Propylene, I guess we're gonna have to. So it can't be it can't be highly acidic. And yeah, it can't be ethanol. So I'm assuming this is going to come into play. So pH range of 2 to 3 is a strong acid. So we want something with a high value. So like sodium bicarbonate, was that one of them? Mildly basic, buffer pH levels. And then isopropyl alcohol. Very effective base, helps dissolve cell membranes, making pathogens more vulnerable to copper and peroxide. Well, I think we have it. So it's isopropyl alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, copper ions, and EDTA. Base is isopropyl alcohol. Active 1, copper ions. Active 2, hydrogen peroxide, stabilizer, EDTA. Test. Oh! I think it's shrinking. Compound is 100% effective. Expecting that door to just open on its own. Formula assigned to decontamination chamber. Main control laboratory is accessible. All right. Disinfectant compiler. Complete the EL9 solution. Symbols. Flooding. Cistern is accessible. I need someone's ID to open the gate. Okay. So presumably we'll be able to get to main control. Main control laboratory. So we just have to get back through Buttman. What? Oh, they're lights. It's like, is that a business card? What is that down there? I don't think Buttman can fit in here anywhere. Move along. There he is. I guess we can go see what's over here now. Perfect. Although he's going to be coming back this way now, isn't he? Oh shit, it's the dead end. Awfully quiet. Where did he go? Safe. Come on. I need my scanner back, man. Thank you. Okay, main control was in the first area. Let's see if he's gonna randomly be here now. So far, so good. How's our battery level? So full. Or full enough. Well, they obviously haven't sprayed it yet. Main control lab, alright. Scan me! EL9 detected. Administering disinfectant for EL9. Ah, that's the stuff. Oh, this is the other side of that broken window. Don't you dare. Cool tarp. Alright, what do we got? It's a face? It's somebody's, well, these are pants, right? So this is like somebody's face. What happened here? It became some kind of fish.
Such sorrow in her eyes. Or is it heartache? How lonely she must have been. I'm here now.
Okay. Wait, no, her head is there. So who is this? What is this? Was this the animal that they just let contaminate the soil? Anyway, what are we doing in here? Oh, what's this? No personal information. Unidentified remains of unknown animal. General appearance, large animal, deceased. Pale flesh, hairless. 2.1 meters in length, 3.4 meters... No, 2.1 meters in height, 3.4 meters in length, 406 kilograms in weight. The vertebrate animal looks to be of the Mammalia class with 10 limbs. The neck measures 120 centimeters. Examination shows an apple lodged in the long throat, which was probably the cause of death. So this was in the other part of the lab, eating off of the apple tree. The digestive system consists of one stomach with 4 compartments. No apple was found in any of the compartments. Ovaries are present, but no evidence of a uterus or cervix. The mammary glands and internal sex organs suggest the animal is female, which also suggests the potential existence of a male mate. Notes: due to the size of the subject, a partial autopsy had to occur at the site of discovery in the arbor, with much of the subject remaining there. Transport of the rest of the subject to the lab has been scheduled for tomorrow. The arbor has been closed off for the time being. Oh, so they just cut its head off and brought it over or something? 10 limbs. Oh my god. 0368. William Davis. Okay, 0368. Okay, now we just need to get back through the cafeteria. This sounds like exactly where he's hanging out at. Okay, he's moving along. Zero 0368. No. Okay. This dude's pooping everywhere. What is he eating? I'll just go down into the cistern real quick. Nothing interesting. All right, so put this back on. Down we go. Oh my god. She really needs to start eating better. Look at it all. It's even on the ceiling. Overflow area, I'll say. We don't really have a place to run to if we get chased. Wear PPE. Oh. It's growing out of the sewer. Need to get this open somehow? I don't know how it would open, honestly. We're gonna go with a way that's got a light on. Spooky. So you can either see the monster or you can see where you're going, but not both. That's somebody's suit. Has he been eating people? Oh, I get the feeling he's gonna be down here now. Uh-oh. It's filling up. Yep. Whoop. Okay, that got me a little bit. Go. No! Let me go, man! Go! Kick him! Oh, come on. Oh, it was. It's the noodle-necked girlfriend. They had a little baby. Oh. Wait, I wasn't grabbed? I just had a seizure on the ladder? And fell into a pile of poop? Very loud. Well, why would the lady alien, the lady butt man, the butt lady, if you will, Why does she look significantly different? Like, I get sexual dimorphism or whatever, but like, Buttman is basically just a giant gangly dude. A giant gangly human with a couple of extra little armies. And, Butt Lady is like some kind of like a brachiosaur human hybrid. So let's see. Overflow is at 0%. Cistern is at 0%. Okay, so now we can go down here. We want to go down here. What is our motivation for wanting to go down here? Like, everything we've done so far has led up to draining this pool. But it was never explained why we needed to get into this pool. Whole lot of nothing. Do you think they had a whole team of lunar plumbers? Where is this now? Safe. Let's see. The canal. I've made it to the founder's office. Williams Terminal must have security level 3 upgrade for the interface module. Aha. See, we saw the founder's office from the outside, but there was never any message of, like, we need to get in there for level 3 security. An ongoing cycle of natural actions and patterns. That's the name of the game. Routine. Why is that significant in a diegetic sense, though? Like, why would that be emblazoned on the wall of the founder's office? Canal incident, deceased person. The incident occurred at the canal observation experiment at the canal. During setup, Mathieu Garrod, physicist, went into a trance and walked into the canal. Henry Becker, lead physicist, successfully retrieved Garrod via the tether connection. Garrod was in poor condition and had an emaciated appearance. He could not speak coherently and seemed confused. Back at the base, his condition worsened. He was put into a medically induced coma and given intravenous treatment for extreme dehydration. Approximately 12 hours later, Garrod went into cardiac arrest and died on the 29th of August, 1978. A burial was held outside the base. First man buried on the moon. Although, given the size of this base, I'm sure he's not the first person to die on the moon. So, did he, like, time travel? He sleepwalked into the canal in a trance and was retrieved via the tether connection, but he was emaciated and dehydrated. So, like, he experienced an extreme amount of time inside the canal and a short amount of actual real-world time. Patient Mathieu Garrod. Tether partner Henry Becker. 49 years, physicist. General appearance, barely conscious, confused, gaunt, extremely dehydrated. Patient arrived in an emergency situation from the canal location. He could not speak clearly and had issues with breathing. His general appearance was alarming, almost as if he were void of moisture. Veins constricted, causing difficulties for IV insertion. Vitals were erratic but stabilized after we administered sedation. Patient has been put into medically induced coma and is being given fluids and medication intravenously. Judith Weber spoke with Garrod briefly before he was administered sodium thiopental for the MIC. A transcript has been requested.
The canal. whispers my name, urging me forward.
Oh, he's got the sickness.
Okay. One final moment. One last glance upon her face before I leave.
Her face. Who's her? Okay, so we need William's password now. Where would we get that exactly? Missing person, Kenneth Murphy, lead engineer. Per the airlock ID log, at 2:37 LTC, Kenneth Murphy left the base on his own. On-duty crew is sparse due to loss of life and current illness. No one saw Murphy leave, and he did not inform anyone of his plans. For safety reasons, the base is now on lockdown. Comms have been left on in the past in the event Murphy returns. Comms have been left on in the past. Enter user ID for William. Apparently that was William's ID. Okay. 0368. Wait. So that was Williams in the lab there? He just died in the laboratory staring at the face of the Brachiosaur lady? What was it? 0368. I figured he would have went out like walking into the canal or something. Using interface module to upgrade to security level 3. Well, we're gonna wait on that because I have a feeling it's gonna start a sequence. Media. I hate that the mouse is on the screen. Entity B, archive and recovery. Oh wow, it was big. It choked to death on an apple. There's some Garden of Eden allegory in there. A second life form has been discovered, anatomically distinct from Entity A. Entity B was found by Maria Ivanov in the Arbor and was already deceased upon discovery. So how did that sneak into the base? Preliminary cause of death appears to be asphyxiation, likely resulting from choking on an apple, possibly due to the incompatibility with human produce. Okay. Oh god, this guy liked to write. The magnificent mammalian specimen, a true being of the moon. She holds so much history in the layers of her mind. The other entity that Henry encountered is still here. I can feel sadness that is not my own. The others think they are hallucinations. They are mistaken. They are memories. I slept in the main control lab last night. When it was just me and her, she spoke to me. Oh. Her is the Brachiosaur lady. I know now. There is no place for us here. Not in a conventional sense. The canal is the answer. just a few of us left now. It won't be long until we are all together. It's time to join them. Before I go, I must look upon her one last time. Yeah, so he went to the lab and sat with the sliced off face until the mold overtook him. Alright, upgrade me. Okay, we have a dramatic music sting. Save. And then I suppose we need to get back over to the other base and use our level 3 access. Now that the interface module has been upgraded to security level 3, I can return to the ward and access the restricted areas. I need to hurry! Why? Other than being chased by a giant naked man, what's the time imperative here? What is with this sewer system? Or is it even a sewer system? This may just be like utility tunnels. Oh, that's why we have to hurry.
Don't give up.
Get out of my head, William. Okay. This way, right? It's all coming together. Of course he is. Go, go. Oh, come on. Stupid elevator door's not closing instantly and chopping him in half. Okay, well, we know that he's basically scripted to come from behind us. Let's just go. Goodbye. So I'm still unclear. Hopefully there'll be some answers on how the sickness ties in with the moon inhabitants. Buttman and Brachiosaur Lady. Security clearance required. Bop. Is it like a native disease that moon people are immunized against, but, you know, carry with them or on them or just exists around the moon? And are they surface dwellers of the moon? I'm sorry, why are we getting spooky music? The Earth gives off no UV light. The sun should be a very bright source of UV light. Also, can we take a moment to ponder at just how much the story has deviated from the initial killer robots plot? Like, it almost seems like a completely unrelated game. We're not going to pass out on the lunar surface. So going back to my previous thought, I wonder, are these surface-dwelling lunar aliens, like, can they exist in the vacuum of, or the near vacuum of the lunar surface, or are they cave-dwelling? Is one of the leading ideas for how to establish a lunar colony of humans is not to set up a base on the surface, but to set up a base in lunar caves, which actually have a very comfortable temperature. I was gonna say climate, but it's not really climate, just more of a habitable temperature for humans to live in, and protects us from, you know, the direct blast of the sun when we're in the light side of the sun, or when the sun is passing over that section of the moon. Oh, right, security. No! Too busy yapping. So that would tie into the idea that these are the caves, the subsurface of the moon is where it is hospitable to life. And so that's where we discovered them. The canal being presumably some type of phenomenon located in a lunar cave. But these near-humanoids are fairly complex life. Chapter 6, Legacy. So I would expect, like, the ecosystem of the moon would have to be equally as complex in order to lead to... Wait, is this where we left from? Is this a new area?
This is William Davis, founder of Prism.
This might be. Yeah, remember, okay, we had to take an elevator up from,
I suspect those back home are utterly unprepared for what we shall find.
Yeah, okay, we listen to this. The ward. We had to activate, we had to turn on the power to the exit elevator. I'm really curious, given his size, what path Buttman is taking to move back and forth between these two facilities. There's one that we could probably utilize ourselves. If he can fit through it, we can fit through it. So we need to get to imaging. And Prism, right? Prism also had a level 3 clearance. So this is where they found the creature. The apples that she choked on. Oh, imaging's already open. Convenient. Okay, so we're gonna get in here, and we're gonna go get him Prong, and I believe the canal or the path is located that way. Echography we have to turn on. What's all this now? Archive inactive, archive security. Archive reboot. Prong 1 and Prong 2 misaligned. We have new requirements. There we go, the path. Where was the canal? There was definitely a door labeled the canal somewhere. At any rate. Open sesame. The Red Room.
This reality diverges from our expectations. The canal, the moon.
They're fading fast.
Us, and we require it.
Go on.
Another contraction.
Contraction? Oh, is that what... The lunar quakes are actually the moon having contractions? Oh. What do we have here? Lunar echography. Instructions: align subsurface imaging prongs to the designated contact point and perform the scan. So we're giving the moon an ultrasound. Alright. I dig it. Well, we know prong 1 is here. In fact, let's turn off echography for right now, just because I think it's power hungry to open that door. Kinda. And then that leads into commons, right? We can turn on prong 1 from right here. So let's turn off lift entrance. We're going to go back out. We'll turn on prong 1. Is that the flower projection video music? Oh. Very tiny room. Let's see. Prong control. You think with such glare susceptible screens they wouldn't have a very bright light shining directly onto it? What are we looking at here? Proximity 0%, clarity 86. Okay, so we're looking for something. We're getting closer. 48, 47, we're getting weaker. Weaker. 6, 7, 8, 9. 100%. The prong has been aligned. What are we pronging? And then prong 2 must be somewhere in commons. He's back again. This guy won't leave us alone. Alright, we can turn prong 1 off now. Commons 1, and I guess commons 2? Commons 2 was... Commons 2 was just a door in Commons that led to another area we already had access to, right? Is he out here? We didn't even open the door to Commons yet. How did he get out here? We got creepy music. He's right here somewhere. I'll wait for him to move first. Or we'll just go. And if I recall, power... Well, I think there's a couple of power stations in here. One's here. Imaging to prong 2. Oh shit. No, no. No, no, no. Go away. Go on. Oh, we can flash him. Why does he look like, I don't know, like a bald Fred Durst or something? Looks like he had a little goatee. That's right. Prong 2. Oh, good, we're gonna have to do this under duress. Let's see, 0. 12. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Zoom in. And we're good. Go, go, go. Prong 2. Commons 1 off. Somehow I don't think it'll keep him from getting out of there. He has the narrative ability to teleport to where he's needed the most, but... Okay, so now we have to turn the archives back on. Let's save. Whoop. The archives. On. Let me in. Emergency, a lunar, it's even called a lunar ultrasound. Leaning hard into this theme, a lunar ultrasound must be performed. Align both prongs, then proceed to echography and imaging. Okay. Media. Did we watch this before? Just in case, we'll watch it again. Document site footage canal. 12th December 1977. The canal, reverberation epicenter. Both video and photographic documentation were taken over the 4-hour duration of the canal exploration mission. Upon reviewing the footage, significant interference was detected, rendering the majority of the data unusable. Of the nearly 4 hours recorded, approximately only 30 to 40 seconds of footage was partially usable. Yep, see, it's a cave. What are we looking at here? Some kind of depression in the ground inside the cave? Oh. The canal is the foundational purpose for Prism. A resolution must be achieved. I just now realize the significance of it being called the canal. It's the birth canal. But what is being born? Straight to work. Ecography on. I hear moaning. Hopefully he's not coming in here. Align subsurface imaging prongs. We did that. Continue. Initializing subsurface imaging prongs. Ensuring stable contact. Contact pressure 5.2 kPa. Signal clarity 82%. Scanning in progress. Analyzing data. Analysis complete. Output ready. Focus. Immediate intervention required. Proceed to the ripening and induction... What? The ripening? The ripening and induction terminal immediately. Where the hell is the ripening terminal? We must prepare to ripen the child. Is that in the path? Was there a door tag I missed somewhere that said ripening room or something? Oh, the path. It's open. Oh, induction. We must walk the path. Mm-hmm. What do we got here? Okay. Before we do that, oh. Is this the rest of... Oh. Were they growing? EL9? Is that what we're looking at here? Are these like fungal colonies? And further to that point, were they growing them inside the ventilation chamber to then blow all the spores throughout the base? They intentionally infected everyone. Oh! Damn it, should have gone check out the other route. And we're gonna pass out again.
Keep pushing forward.
Keep pushing. We're not having the baby. My mind. What the? What are we looking at here? It's a mine. Inject amniotic brine. Yes or yes? I'm gonna go check out that side path real quick. Just in case this is like the way forward. This game doesn't really seem like it's a type to have like side secrets, but just in case. Okay, it was nothing. It was just a big circle from the main hallway where you come in from, which leads you to believe we may need to use that to duck somebody, but we'll see. So we're gonna be injecting amniotic brine. Whose amniotic fluid are we injecting exactly here? Oh, this chair does not have any colliders. Interesting. Inject me. Ripening and induction. Are we pumping brine into the ground somewhere? Oh, the mouse is projected onto the... The canal is ready. We've induced birth. What's the significance of the mine? The baby's coming. Yeah, that side path just leads back to here. Oh, right, we're in imaging again. So, where are we going now? To the canal? Where was the canal again? Was that in the comments? The archives are offline again. The Echography is inaccessible. Save real quick, I suppose. Seems like a good time. I think this might be the end. The canal. The induction door is now opened. One final stage, the ripening and induction terminal. The canal needs me. I need it. What? Who wrote that? Who's writing weird things in my gun again? Oh, I know where the canal is. It's way, way back. All the way. Oh God, Jesus Christ, you piece of shit. Yeah, it's called YouTube. Make it play! Yeah? You wanna watch the video of your... Oh, God! He's learned how to use our technology. He's advancing too quickly. Oh, they stole all our modules. No, they stole our battery. Wait, how did you get access to that? That video wasn't on there. No. Is he gonna have... Oh. I'll just watch it over and over. No. We'll leave him with his sad memories. We've got a baby to birth. This was the canal. Don't give in yet. I guess that explains how we got infected in the first place. Even though we were in isolation, they were pumping the spores into the ventilation for the entire lunar colony. Initialize airlock sequence. Security clearance required. What? Oh. One last charge for the road. Excuse me. Oh, I have to, turn on the module, yeah? There we go. See, they let you go the whole game thinking that he was too big to fit in those little narrow passageways. And then they get you. So I have a feeling they're not going to explain what led them here in the first place. Because they mentioned in one of the journal entries that they were called here. But they never... Where are these lights coming from? They never really went into... Oh, there you are. Never really went into what called them. What form did this calling take? And also, why have we not had any contact from, like, Earth? Presumably we were sent here on request from the lunar colony to look at their ASN system. But everybody was dead by the time we got here. And we've been here for at least another day or so. You'd think that somebody back home would be a little concerned that they suddenly lost all contact with their highly populated lunar colony. Okay, so this is the canal. This is the thing that they saw in the video, the little divot in the ground. This is where the video cut out. It was this. And this looks like the source of the EL9. Is this the canal? Are we the thing that's being born?
so far. One final step.
The eclipse. We lost our ID badge. There we go. We're becoming baby. This is very 2001: A Space Odyssey. We become the celestial child. Oh. Ooh. I was really worried we were just gonna roll credits on that. Oh, it's not water. It's like texture. It's like a fingerprint. Now, is this a vision or hallucination, or are we actually like teleported into the moon? Some kind of inner habitation. Okay, somebody's coming out. Oh my god, it was us in here the whole time.
Together. We begin anew.
We came all this way to hold hands.
Through me, you endure.
Some historic
Through you.
symbolism there.
I endure.
Unblooms your flower. $19.99. It's 2025. Hey, that's almost how long it took to make this game. Internal distribution only. Report date December 5th, 2025. Subject Prism Lunar Containment and Recovery Program. Reference Prism Canal Exploration. The objective was to recover data blank 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 associated with the original Prism Canal expedition. Background. The Prism Lunar Expedition blank 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 geological contractions within the site known as the Canal. Operations continued until 1979 blank 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 blank. In 1999, a Union Plaza Resort employee, John Cooper, reported the discovery of blank 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 Union Plaza blank 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 operational irregularities blank blank blank. Software engineer sent to correct the automated security network blank 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 entered the ward. Contraction events blank 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 aligned with patterns from the original Prism Canal expedition blank blank blank. Escalating intensity. Objectives. Recover all Prism mission data and blank related to the canal. Retrieve blank or irregular value. Some very weird sections blanked out. Secondary objective. Blank blank, indeterminate origin or unauthorized function. Mission report. The LCRP blank blank lunar touchdown at 2027 UTC, approximately 800 meters from the ward's blank airlock. Upon entry of the ward, the crew reported a dense concentration of particulate matter described as blank or pollen. Oh, you're all infected now. Substantial interference. Complete telemetry loss. The final transmission contained one image. They're blooming. And something's been edited out of it. Huh. Chapter 1, Rebirth. Is this a game we have to play through multiple times? The original Chapter 1 was just Birth, right? Developed by Lunar Software. No, you didn't explain anything! It's one of those games. What do you think it means? Hey guys, Editing Genji here. So in my original outro for the game, where I go over my thoughts on the game, I spent a lot of time complaining about the lore of the game, the story of the game being somewhat incomprehensible and left intentionally vague. But as I've been going through in editing and paying very close attention to each of the notes and compiling a little separate notepad here with dates and events and trying to piece together exactly what happened, I don't think it's actually as vague as I originally thought. And I think I might do a separate lore video where I just go into a bit more depth with actual screenshots of all these documents and things, kind of piecing together what actually happens in Routine. But to close out this video, I do want to quickly go over like a bullet point list of the things that I think happened in this game. So the story is actually kind of told in reverse. So at the beginning of the game, we're put into the shoes of the engineer in Union Plaza. That is actually the second half of the chronological story of Routine. The story of Routine actually begins in the 1970s, well, technically I guess in the 1960s. So in 1964, Prism Institute is founded. Prism Institute describes itself on its lanyards and documentation as being leaders in geological science and selenology, which is the study of the moon. Later on in 1974, they detect the first lunar quake, which they describe as a reverberation that had an epicenter at the canal. So I think this is the event that William describes as their calling that brought them to the moon and brought them to the canal specifically. So they detected the very first lunar quake at the canal from Earth, and then spent the next 3 years building the presumably part of what eventually became the Prism laboratory on the moon, which is probably the Ward, I think was probably the first place that was built. So according to the notes, they have at least part of the Ward operational by the end of 1977. So on 12/12/1977, they launched their first canal exploration mission, and this is where Edith disappears into the canal. So this is before they implemented the tethering rules, where you had to have at least 2 people on every expedition. They had to be tethered together. So this first expedition had Edith and Jan. Edith disappeared into the canal. Now, we don't know if she was called into the canal through supernatural means or if she just got curious and walked into there and then fell victim to the effects of the canal. But either way, she disappeared into the canal. Jan was not able to follow after her due to protocol, so she never returned. They never found her body. Presumably between that time and the rest of the events of the game, they implemented the tethering rules, and this is where, in this gap of time, they began to do just boring science on the core samples and the scrapings and the diggings that came back from the area around the canal and found the biomarkers for life. So again, December 1977, Edith disappears into the canal. 9 months later, a very specifically chosen amount of time, the rest of the crew in the Ward begin to detect the presence of an invisible entity. I think it's Entity A. It could be Entity B, though. So James Mason, who is the archivist, is the first person to detect it because he's the one who's going over the footage, both recovered from the original canal mission, and is the one who first discovered movement in the interface module when using it. So he pores over the tapes and is able to spot one of the 2 entities wandering around the base, and that sends him on kind of a downward spiral into either psychosis, inflicted either by the shock of having aliens living amongst them or from being infected by the spores. But the fungal growths have not yet infected the base at this point. Shortly after this, there is another canal exploration mission. This is the one where Mathieu Gerard disappears into the canal, who is tethered and he's pulled back out of the canal by his tether partner, Henry. And so Matthew experienced extreme withering and dehydration during his time in the canal. And I think this is because he was exposed to the fungal growths, EL9, I guess we'll refer to it as, inside the canal, and then brought it back out when he was pulled out by the tether and by Henry. So Henry and Matthew are the first ones that are exposed to EL9 and actually live to bring it back to the Prism colony. Matthew obviously dies within 24 hours due to extreme dehydration, presumably from the EL9 growth, probably sapping all of his moisture in order for them to grow a fungal colony inside of his body, which seems to be a theme for all of the people that we see later get infected with the EL9 fungus. They are all, by day 60, completely dehydrated, and that's when the fruiting bodies of the fungus begin to emerge from the desiccated bodies. On a note that we find in Botany, it describes the timeline for infection by EL9, and so we see that by day 7, people begin to experience visual distortions and light sensitivity, things to do with their vision. And we also see in the medical or the examining room in Botany, there is a CAT scan or an MRI of a brain, and we see some kind of either calcification or fluid buildup on the back of the brain, which is where the visual cortex is located in the brain. So something about EL9 begins to affect the visual cortex of the brain first, which causes people to see things, go into delirium. This is probably where the visions of the flowers come from. Again, another thematic element. I believe the psychiatrist, the psychologist describes them as hollyhock flowers, just when they project on the screen to kind of calm people that are overtaken by the EL9 delirium. And hollyhock symbolizes fertility and the cycle of life. So again, tying back into the themes of the game. So that's day 7. By day 30, people who are infected by EL9 begin to experience respiratory issues, and we do see that reflected in the notes. So at the very end of September of 1978 is when Matthew enters the canal and is pulled back. So he and Henry are exposed to EL9, and then at the beginning of October, so about 30 days from then, is when Henry reports to the medical staff that he has asthma symptoms and visual disturbances, and he was being visited by a presence. So that tracks with the timeline of the EL9 infection. And by this point, the EL9 is being spread through the ventilation of the Prism Institute. So you start to have reports of people going into trance-like states and sleepwalking to the canal. So nothing else past October 1978, nothing new really happens. Presumably, crewmates are being infected at various times throughout this period. This is when James Mason begins to lock himself into the vestibule at the beginning of 1979. Ken gets infected at this point. We find a note in William's office stating that Ken left the base without authorization and wandered off into the moon. So Ken is likely the corpse that was found 20 years later in the 1990s by John Cooper, I want to say his name with. He's the one who went and did the perimeter check, took the video of the corpse with the fungal growths coming out of it, came back to Union Plaza and got sick and spread it to everybody else. So by February of 1979, pretty much all of the Prism crew are infected or dead by this point. People begin going into trance-like states and disappearing into the canal. But presumably there are still some people who still have their wits about them, because it's not until March of 1979 that they discover the body of Entity B, who is... I originally thought that Entity B, the female lunar creature, was actually the mate of Entity A, like it was a male-female pair. But we're later explicitly shown that Entity B is the mother of Entity A. We see a short vision when we fall off the ladder in the reservoir where Entity B is looking down at a newborn Entity A. And most notably, Entity A seems to be a human hybrid with Entity B. And this is also reinforced by the scene at the end where Entity A grabs us and brings us to the viewing monitor and forces us to play a video of the discovery of Entity B, and he kind of falls to his knees and paws at the screen. That's a very maternal connection to Entity B in the video. So I don't think there's any really ambiguity around the mother-son connection between those two. It's not entirely clear how or who the hybrid was made with. There's a few different possibilities. I think the first candidate is Edith. Despite being a woman, she is the first one who entered into the canal in the first mission, disappeared completely, and then 9 months later, there were traces of Entity A being felt in the Prism complex. So Edith could have been merged with Entity B by entering into the canal. And I think that is kind of the meta story of Routine, because Entity B is described as a mammal. The autopsy report explicitly calls out that she has mammaries, she has ovaries, but does not have a womb or a birth canal, or forget the exact description. But essentially she has the ability to be fertilized, but does not have a way to carry a child. And yet we see in the reservoir vision that Entity B has produced a viable newborn that is connected to some kind of umbilical cord. So it begs the question, how are the offspring of these lunar creatures carried to term? And I think that is the purpose of the canal, and or the contraption, the spherical womb type analog that we find inside the canal. It could be that either the moon itself, or the canal itself more likely, which seems to be a specific type of phenomenon occurring on the moon, is somehow gestating the children of the lunar creatures. It's possible that the mechanical womb contraption is actually something that exists on the moon, although it would suggest like a much older kind of technological civilization visited the moon somehow. It could also just be explained by our player being infected with the EL9 and experiencing visual disturbances and hallucinations and visions and memories, as they describe them sometimes, and is just kind of superimposing the core of the ASN that we saw over the fertility allegory of the second half of the game, and that it's not that the contraption is not something that actually exists there. It's just the way our brain is explaining it to us, right? But somehow the moon, and more specifically the canal, is involved in the birth cycle of these lunar creatures, and the cycle seems to involve the canal causing lunar quakes as kind of an indicator that the canal and or the moon and or the lunar creatures are in a fertile state, and that by entering the canal, something entering the canal is the fertilization action that produces a hybrid and produces an offspring of the lunar creatures. We see the first lunar quake, Edith enters the canal, produces Entity A. The end of Routine involves a second lunar quake with our character entering the canal and presumably experiencing some kind of secondary hybridization where we see a Entity A type creature emerging from the womb machine analog. So there's definitely some kind of fertility cycle involving the canal and the lunar quakes and the lunar creatures. Another possibility is that Entity B is Edith, and that she entered the canal when it was in its state where it is ready to receive somebody into the canal and was transformed into Entity B. It's possible that she was pregnant when she entered the canal, and that's why Entity B emerged and gave birth or produced a lunar human hybrid creature. That much is not entirely clear. I think that will remain the vague point of the plot line, but that's kind of tying into stuff that happens at the end chronologically. So if we roll it back, 1979, March 19th, Entity B is discovered, autopsies. And that's pretty much the end of the 70s era of the story, because towards the end of 1979, on September 20th is the final chronological entry that we can find for the original Prism Institute, where Williams has kind of entered his fanatic stage, where he states that we're not meant to live on the moon, not in a conventional sense. And I think, again, that conventional sense is some clever wordplay, meaning that he realizes that humanity will have to hybridize or merge itself with the lunar creatures in order to facilitate our expansion into space or into the moon specifically. And it's at this point that he readies himself to join the others in the canal, but we see that he obviously never makes it to the canal. He goes to sit with the remains of Entity B, and that's where we find his corpse 20 years later. So that's the end of the Prism Institute. 20 years pass in the interim. Ken's body, Ken, wandered out of the Institute across the lunar surface, died out there at some point, and his body became just a fungal farm that is later discovered by John Cooper in the 90s. But between the end of the Prism Institute and the founding of Union Plaza, Entity A has continued to exist inside the Prism base. Presumably he is eating something to sustain himself over those 20 years. I think that is the point of the EL9. I think the fruiting bodies of EL9, the weird tendrils, produce some kind of food or are themselves the food of the lunar creatures, and that's probably what Entity A was sustaining itself on in that time period. We do see pretty much anywhere around the base where there is a body that has the EL9 growing out of it, there's generally a lot of poop. And besides that, it's explained to us that Entity B choked to death trying to eat an apple, and in the autopsy report, it's extrapolated that lunar creatures are incompatible with Earth food or human food. So Entity A is most likely eating EL9, and that may be the entire point of the kind of lure effect that EL9 has on humans. I think anybody who enters the canal or is exposed to EL9 when the canal is not in its fertile state or has already been fertilized simply becomes food for the offspring that the canal is creating. So Edith enters the canal, she's the chosen one that gets hybridized or somehow produces a hybrid offspring with Entity B or becomes Entity B, whatever. Everybody else becomes food for Entity A. And presumably why they are drawn to the canal, it's either to further their infection so that they succumb to it and become food, or because that's where the offspring is expected to be raised at the canal, near where it's being born. And so you want people who are infected with EL9 and who are going to become food to sustain that child to kind of bring themselves to where the child is going to be. And I think there's a note in the comments somewhere where somebody describes becoming a part of the nutrient cycle of the moon, and I think that is probably an accurate observation, just not in the way that they are expecting. So again, 20 years later, Union Plaza is founded as a kind of tourist destination for the moon. I don't think it has any ties to Prism. I don't think it was like a secret covert op to try to get close to Prism or find out what happened. I think it was just by happenstance, they built a resort station on the moon, and then during a routine check around the perimeter, John Cooper encounters the infected EL9 corpse of Kenneth from the original Prism station, unknowingly brings the infection back to Union Station with him, and then begins to infect, presumably through the ventilation system, the rest of the people at Union Plaza. The ASN detects the infection. I don't know why it was programmed to not inform anybody that there was a plague spreading throughout the facility and instead just lock it down and start black bagging people. But that's what happens. The ASM begins locking down Union Plaza. The Type 5 robots are sent out as kind of the plague doctors. They're there to collect people who are infected and bag them up and isolate them to try to prevent the EL9 from continuing to infect the colony. And before I think anybody on the base really realized what was happening, they found the ASN was kind of going into this lockdown mode. They couldn't explain it. They were not given any information from the system. So they sent out a request to have us, the debugger, the engineer, come out and try to troubleshoot the ASN system. We come to Union Plaza. It's protocol for newcomers to Union Plaza to be put into isolation for 7 days, assumedly so that we're not bringing diseases into Union Plaza. But during our 7 days in isolation, the rest of Union Plaza is wiped out either by being black bagged by robots or by succumbing to the EL9, so that when we are finally released, there is nobody left, and that's where the game begins. So presumably we are infected probably immediately when we arrive. So we look at the chart that shows the timeline of infection. By 7 days, people who are infected with EL9 begin to experience visual disturbances, and so we are in isolation for 7 days. And that explains why we're having vision issues, we're seeing things, we're entering delirious states, we're blacking out and waking up in different locations because the EL9 is actually already progressed in our system. And so at the end of the Union Station section, we destroy the core of the ASN, black out, and then wake up in the Prism base because we are now at the state of infection where we are going into trances and sleepwalking, being drawn to the canal. And if you pay attention closely, when you wake up inside the Prism base for the first time in the kind of return room or whatever they call it, where they're playing the calming video for people who have returned from the canal, we can see kind of a fuzzy vision of the lunar surface, implying that during our dissociative state, we simply moonwalked across the surface of the moon to the Prism base because we were being drawn to the canal by the EL9 infection. And that kind of picks up on the rest of the game, where we're now inside the Prism base. We're discovering all the things that happened in the 1970s. We're discovering that Entity A has been living here for the last 20 years, and that kind of sets the rest of the game in motion. So again, it's not entirely clear if the player entering the canal at the end of the game is perpetuating a second fertility cycle. We do have kind of a lot of symbolism suggesting that is the case. There's a lot of fertilization and womb imagery. When we go inside of the path, where we saw Entity B showing off or reacting to the newborn Entity A, that is that room that's shown in that vision. And at the end of that room, there is a wall with a very noticeable flower motif on it. In the center of that flower motif is a very vaginal doorway opening with a long passageway that leads to a red interior room that is very womb-like. Obviously, we go to the canal itself, which is very vaginal in imagery. And in fact, there is probably intentionally a spotlight being shown down into the canal, which I didn't do it in the gameplay, but I did go back and check out that area again after finishing to see if there was anything else hidden in there. If you walk into the canal and turn around and look back out, it does look like kind of the light at the end of the tunnel for a baby that will be being born. And then inside the canal, we get close enough to trigger the cutscene with the womb machine, where we see our player model coming up out of the machine and briefly overlaid with Entity A, who is a human lunar creature hybrid. We're also shown a clip of the Entity A spaceman reaching out to our hand in a allusion to the painting on the Sistine Chapel of God reaching out to touch Adam, where God is depicted as being inside of a womb with an umbilical cord. So more womb allusions, and we're also shown throughout the game the visual motif of the two black spheres overlaid over the white sphere, and they eventually come together into a single sphere inside of the larger white sphere, which is again insemination imagery. In the interim cutscene between Union Plaza and the Prism Station, we are shown the point at which those two spheres kind of meet each other. There's a voiceover that's done by either us or by William. It's not entirely clear because both characters are played by the same voice actor with the same voice. But the voice states, "I bloomed gently, hoping something might answer. Did it find you?" Which kind of suggests to me, again, that the blooming gently is the moon entering its fertile state and calling out for something to reciprocate. And we are the ones who ended up being found and entering the canal. And after this scene, in the end cutscene, we're shown the clip of the flower kind of retracting back into the pod, suggesting that now the moon has been fertilized, the canal has been fertilized, and it's no longer in that state. So I think that is the prevailing theme of the game, the overarching story. There is still some vagueness in there, but having gone back to the game and really combed through the lore, there's still some vagueness to the story, but it's not as unexplained or as enigmatic or as open to interpretation as I had originally feared. So having gone back and looked at that, I now have a much greater appreciation for the story and lore behind Routine. I do still think that there is a gameplay disconnect between the first half of the game and the second half of the game. They originally felt like they were almost completely two separate games that were just using the same game mechanics. Now that I understand how they fit together, I still think that the gameplay doesn't mesh as well as the story does, because the first half of the game is almost entirely just a long segment where we get the cat. And then the real game begins when we get to the Prism Colony. However, basically nothing that we do or acquired in the first half of the game, besides the cat itself, is really carried over into the second half of the game. We don't use the maintenance module to overload anything in the second half of the game. We don't really use the UV for anything in the second half of the game besides a single puzzle. So pretty much the only thing that we're using in the second half of the game is the interface module, which we discover in the second half of the game. And none of the original enemies, none of the original kind of story beats or design motifs really carry over into the second half of the game, other than we can occasionally see people scrawling flowers on notepads and boards in the first half of the game before we really understand what the significance of the flowers means, that they're all experiencing visions and hallucinations of the EL9 flowers because they're all infected with the EL9 without knowing about it. But again, it still feels like the first half of the game and the second half of the game could have been more cohesive. Maybe there's still robot enemies that you have to deal with on top of Entity A in the second half of the game just to continue that gameplay thread of the first half of the game into the second half of the game. Who knows? But I think that's probably my biggest complaint about the gameplay itself. Everything else about the game I felt was fantastic. We've got, absolutely gorgeous art design, absolutely gorgeous set pieces, really masterful control of light, and how the light interplays with darkness in a scene to draw your attention to things or hide things from you, or to create very scenic views at almost every turn of the game. Like, pretty much every room in this game has got some really beautifully, gorgeously lit in a very dynamic, atmospheric way. Set pieces that could be like artwork on their own or renders of their own. So I think the art team kind of gets the majority of the praise for this game. Absolutely everything involved with the visuals and the art. And the music is phenomenal, with Mick Gordon, of all people, contributing to the musical score of this, although I think he did not get to complete the project. He had to leave due to scheduling issues. But very interesting to see his name in here. What else is there to say? I think this is definitely one of the most memorable horror games I've played this year. I don't know if I would put it on the level of like an Alien Isolation, although it is kind of in that ballpark as far as genre and game style. I think the horror of this game, while done well, particularly around the Entity A, I don't think the robots were really that scary or a threat at all in general. They were kind of slow and easy to avoid. They were mostly just there to get in your way. But the whole lead up, the 40-ish minute lead up to finally encountering Entity A, with slowly learning about, oh, there's a creature here in the base, it can't be seen by the eye, you can only see it to the module, it's really tall, we don't know where it came from, absolutely terrifying, although the terror did deflate a bit the first time we actually got to see Entity A, and he was just kind of a big, pale, naked guy. So his actual visual design I don't think is that terrifying, but his mechanic, his sounds, just kind of the threat of him plodding around was very well done in the horror sense. So again, one of the better horror games I played this year, probably one that I'll remember the most out of this year. But I don't think it is one of the like masterclass horror games of all time, like Alien Isolation. So yeah, that's my review of Routine. Hopefully that made sense to you. That'll help you appreciate the storyline of Routine a little bit more. If you liked this playthrough of Routine, hit like and subscribe. If you want to check out Routine for yourself, head over to Steam and pick it up. And if you want to let me know what you thought of the game or what you think of the story of Routine, then hit the comments down below. But whatever you do, I'll see you right here again in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.